So why would we drive our life by thinking? We have to drive our life by what we do and what we don't do. And all those things that you do and all those things that you don't do can become like attachments, can become a heaviness, can become a tension. So the best thing that we can know how to do is to be mindful and detach, or to be mindful and then to relax and release whole body and mind. Relax and release whole body and mind through and with our breathing. Because when you get caught up in thoughts, you have a chance to not be caught up in thoughts. Means when you have attention, when you have a grasping onto something, you have a chance to let go of that thing immediately. And that is the power of freedom, and that is the power of wisdom as well. Because everything is impermanent. It doesn't matter what you think about, it doesn't matter what you experience. Even your body is impermanent. All aspects of your mind are impermanent. All aspects of the world are impermanent. So, yes, we know how to use the appearance of permanence, right? So, we want our car to be permanent. We use it as if it is permanent, etc. But that's a limited usage, that's a limited power. But the power of impermanence, or the power of mindfulness and detachment, or the power of awareness and willingness to relax and release whole body and mind, is a limitless power. Limitless power to get your wish, to get your want. Because if you're stressed, if you have tension, you're going to get sick and you're going to be ineffective. So we can go back, we can return to any place, anytime, anyone, anything, everything. We can return to focusing on our breathing, releasing and relaxing whole body and mind. And it's a personal, it's a your practice. It's something that you practice. It's something that no one else can have control over. It's something that no one else can influence. It's something that no one else can know about. Only you can know about it, and you can only know about it through practicing it. So every time, every moment that we get stuck on this anger, this fear, this greed, this delusion, this complicated thinking about someone at some place, in some time, in some situation, me, you, I, etc., relationships, etc., all that, right? The moment that we notice that we're stuck in it, we're lost in it, we can stop, focus on the breathing, relax and release whole body and mind. And this not only gives us a way of relaxing and a way of being more skillful and effective to get what we want, but it also opens up a different dimension of reality that's not about attaching to things, that's not about thinking about things. And there's a lot of power in that dimension of reality. And to use that power, that is the power of detachment. And to be able to use that power, we have to be mindful. So when we're focused on all these complicated thoughts, it's very difficult to be mindful of that because it's so quick. There's so many things going on. So if we can stop or redirect, concentrate on the breathing, that's something we can use to detach, to release and relax whole body and mind. Really, we can practice like that. We can heal our psychological and physical sickness and suffering through that practice. It has nothing to do with any religion. So there's not so many excuses in terms of, well, I can't pay for that. That's too much. That sounds nice, but I don't really agree with this guy. It's not about someone. Has nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with me being a monk or anything like that. So we can practice this together during this time. And if there's any questions that are coming up, then that's okay. Some kind of dirty hat. So I have some other questions that have come through, and I want to take a look at them as well. But I'm here. If you have your question in this live stream, that's the priority. Welcome, Devin. Welcome, Zuba.
Yo. Yo, is that a monk?
So
That's awesome.
we're gonna keep the format to meditating ourselves. So we're focusing on our breath. We're relaxing and releasing whole body and mind, and then we can
Yo, dude, you're awesome, bro.
we can ask question from that place um, of depth within our own heart.
Yeah. So can you do demonstration for me?
You have to demonstrate it for yourself. Stop thinking. Stop jujus.
Okay.
Stop gubas, and focus on your breathing. Concentrate on your breathing.
Yeah.
Concentrate to be aware that when the breathing is going in. Concentrate to be aware as the breathing is going out. Practice it. Then you can go deeper into having dominion over the suffering of the mind, the confusion of the mind, the greed, the anger, the delusion. You can start to find your true self. We have a comment here from, looks like a Korean, but I don't know what that says. We're also live on YouTube right now, guys. So some people may be asking their questions through YouTube.
That feels amazing, man. I'm not gonna lie. You feel way more calmer.
And so when those thoughts come up, when those ideas come up, you say whoop, and then and come back to the breathing. It's very powerful to do like that consistently. It's not about doing it in one particular way. It's not about someone else. It's really you want to get the blessings. You want to get the benefit. So you want to practice like that more closely, more directly. So where can I find more of your teachings and offerings? I mean, what monk doesn't want to hear that? There's a lot on the YouTube channel. I mean, there's a whole bunch there. And of course, we have the website as well. But as much as you practice more, then you will get more of the teachings, not just from the monk, but from everything. Because everything can be used for doing good deeds with mindfulness and with detachment. So in that way, we're learning, we're working to solve the problem, not only for ourselves, but for everything, because we're learning how to be mindful of and detach from everything. And we're learning how to use everything for doing good rather than for distracting ourselves or pleasuring ourselves. It's a very limited way to live life. And this is concerned with, limit, unlimited freedom. just as much as there are positive spirit, there are also the negative spirit. So we have to learn the anti-spirit machine. And the anti-spirit machine is mindfulness and detachment. Learn how to practice that within yourself so that nobody can trick you, nobody can misguide you, nobody can lead you off of the path. Well, we have to accept that things are not as they appear to be, and that things not being as they appear to be is neither positive or negative. It's not good or bad, but it is the way that things are. The way of things is that they don't exist in appearances. And in that way, we learn to let go, understanding that we have been caught up or we have been bound up in appearances. And then we go back home. We go back to ourselves. We go back to our true nature. That is, we go back to mindfulness and detachment. We go back to our breathing. We go back to our heart. We go back to our gut. We go back to releasing and relaxing whole body and mind. And that is where our wisdom is. That is where our mindfulness is. And that is where our skillfulness is. It's not outside there. So every time that someone says, hey, go look over there, you should be very careful about following that person. It's not that they're right or wrong. You should just be very careful and you should up your practice of mindfulness and detachment in that following. You have to know how to detach from people and you have to know how to abandon people as much as you know how to attach to them and cling to them. And you have to practice that directly in your meditation of being aware of things, of phenomena, of thoughts, of feelings in the body, relaxing and releasing them. We can develop our self sufficiency surprisingly, not by doing more for ourselves or feeding more self fixated judgments and ideas about others and situations, but instead by stopping and giving more. Giving that which is valuable to us. And for a lot of people, negativity or ill will or self fixation is valuable. So that's what they give. And that's not very valuable for the ending of suffering. For the people who have experience and development in the path, they give mindfulness and detachment. They give no self, not someone, not something. Even in giving something, they give not something. That is why the gift of the Dhamma is called the highest gift. That is why the gift of the Dhamma is called the highest giving. The giving of the Dhamma. Okay, where are we?
Yo, I am relaxed right now, man. That's crazy.
Would you all like to hear a Christmas song that I developed with the help of AI?
Please
Oh,
no.
that'd be hilarious, man. Yeah, for sure.
Please
bro.
no.
Shush, 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 shush. Come on. We're here to be good, aren't we? We're not here to be bad. All right. And that's kind of the underlying principle as well, but we don't, we're a little bit frustrated because everybody's going around telling us to be good and telling us to be bad. But that real good and that real bad comes from within you, right? And so if you know how to give, you know how to do what is beyond good and bad. If you know how to practice giving what is within you that is valuable to you, you know how to go beyond what is good and bad. In as much as it's not about good or bad, it's just about giving, right? So that's the clarification. Because if it's about good and bad, there's going to be side effect, good side effect, bad side effect. But if it's just the giving itself, no side effect. And that goes into making donations, volunteering, serving, cleaning your parents' toilet, cleaning up the house, taking out the trash, just doing it to do it as a way of giving. Not about someone, not about something, not about some desire or some fear, just the doing itself. Does that make sense? A little bit of sense at least?
Like you to repeat it.
Nothing can
Makes
be
a lot of
repeated.
sense, bro. It's pretty cool.
Nothing can be repeated. Hmm. And patience. Patience is very important. As they say, good things come to those who wait. So we have to have a lot of patience concerned with what seems to be important to us, right? So the young person that was just in here, he said, "Whoa, this is wild. I feel super relaxed. I feel like I'm calming down. Like this seems good. This seems great, right? But not enough patience." And that means not having the ability to endure. And so we have to recognize, whoa, this is the unknown. I'm curious about this. This seems to be helping me to release and relax whole body and mind. This seems to work. And then uh, we have to be patient to endure that. We have to be patient to endure that which we know works. And being mindful, focusing on our breath and releasing whole body and mind, releasing and relaxing whole body and mind, that works. But we have to be patient and endure to continue doing that to get the healing power, to help the body heal, to help the mind heal, to find the mind ground, to recognize the ground of the self. This is Awakened in the Season. I think this is the one. It is Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. Let's have some Christmas cheer. What's going on? Everybody's depressed and sick. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Yes.
Christmas, everyone.
Yes.
Merry
Wow.
Christmas.
The Christmas cheer coming back.
I was at a
Wow.
Christmas party yesterday with some family. It was really fun. I went to an ugly sweater party.
Well, let's let go of that. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready to let go of that? What is that? This. Widen out, brighten out, more and more aware, more and more letting go, more and more release and relax whole body and mind. Let me see if this is it. Oh, this is it. Listen to this.
On a snowy the warmth we seek. Generosity flows like a river strong.
Come on.
Mindful hearts beat all night long. Buddha as Santa in the skies above brings peace and joy with a touch of love. Detachment lights our path anew. Mindfulness in all we do. Give with open hands, detach from greed. The virtues of life are what we need. Chanting echoes, a drum beats grace. In this moment, find your place. Buddha as Santa in the skies above brings peace and joy with a touch of love. Detachment lights our path anew. Mindfulness in all we do.
Yeah.
Appreciate now where we stand, with hearts open wide, hand in hand. A Merry Christmas, a year that's bright, in peace and love. Will unite.
Well, that's Bante Warapanya's new hit single from Tabarwa Studios in Los Angeles, California.
Uh, I have to. I have one question.
Go ahead. What's your question?
Is being drunk helping a little bit
No.
of this process?
No.
Because I'm a little bit buzzed and
Being drunk doesn't allow you to make use of this process, which is why the Buddha teaches so clearly about not drinking alcohol. And that's right, Ashton, and also the Discord is gone. There is no Discord, there is just the YouTube channel and Bante Warapanyu with open arms, open mind. So being drunk is something you guys should not do. What's happening, Sebi, that's a final warning, okay? Now that I know that you're drunk,
No.
there's going to be an extra layer
no,
of...
no.
Sir?
Please listen. I'm not drunk. Like I don't know what the fuck am I doing, but like I want to.
Well, look, we fix it easily. So don't drink alcohol. It makes you into a fool. It makes you very aggressive, and it makes you intoxicated, makes you confused, makes you dangerous. And as a young man, or as a young people, or as people on the path, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to take care. And if we're putting ourselves in drunken situations, there's really not a benefit. You know, we say, well, alcohol helps to relax us, but it doesn't. It creates a lot of suffering and a lot of sickness in the body, a lot of stress in the body, right? So we shouldn't to pursue that. We shouldn't be involved in that. Not a good idea. And if you do that, you should remember that it's not a good idea, and you should be exceedingly careful so as to prevent disaster. And alcohol is fuel for disaster. It's fuel for anger, it's fuel for greed, and it's fuel for delusion. Don't drink alcohol without being drunk. Just avoid that problem by not drinking alcohol. Okay? We want to get everything, but we don't want to give anything, or we don't want to give up anything. And in the world of the mind, there's no transaction, there's no deal making, you see? So we have to rely on generosity, or we have to rely on merit. We have to rely on our willingness to give up, to heal. and to progressively develop in wisdom and in virtue as well. It's giving and giving up. It's not about having a discussion or making a decision for oneself. It's about giving and giving up only. Okay? Questions, dear brothers? Dear my young friends?
You're Buddhist?
I'm a Buddhist monk, that's right.
Were you always Buddhist?
Go back to your breathing. Concentrate on the breathing as if you were a warrior on the battlefield, Dro. This is that moment. So focus on your breathing. Bring the mind of thinking and the mind of the world home to the body. And through that breathing, first you have to notice that you're breathing in, and then you have to notice that you're breathing out. Now you have access. What you have access to is to work with the body and mind in terms of relax and release whole body and mind. More and more aware of what is already there. Okay, just like that. And it's inclusive of asking questions. But you have to be the good one. You have to be the brave one to feel it and to do it. It's a foul poison to your body and also to the mind, and it's very dangerous. So, alcohol and weed are not recommended. They are usually coping mechanisms for living a life that does not have meaningful activities in it. And then some people get beyond that by having meaningful activities about themselves, but this is very limited. So we want to have meaningful activities concerned with the others, concerned with helping the others. If your life is just about yourself, that's a limited life. If your life is about the others, that is a limitless life. You see? So there's much more power in working for the others, not in terms of having a job, but in terms of giving, in terms of consideration, in terms of taking responsibility. And as alphas in training, as Adonises in training, you have to be quite serious about this, that responsibility of giving and that responsibility of ethical conduct, virtuous conduct. But all of that is going to come through naturally with what I'm telling you guys. You notice that the Jubas are out of control, the Chimjus are going around, and the Hutsuba is getting out of control. You've been there, you've experienced that. When you notice that happening, Hut, you stop. You use the Hut and you stop and you breathe, take a deep breath. Breathe and release and relax whole body and mind. Focus on the breathing, release and relax whole body and mind. It's not about the Jibawas. It's not about the Kulaba. It's not about any of that. And that's what you have to relax and release as well, is all of the chup chup about the chup chup. You have to notice that and not believe in that, and then go back to release and relax whole body and mind. So we go deeper and deeper into that process methodology of active kindness, active mindfulness and detachment. Not about something, not about someone. True kindness is not about someone. And we don't teach empathy in Buddhism as much as we teach empathetic joy. Because when someone is suffering, we have to be mindful and detached from that suffering to help them. Otherwise, we are sinking on the same boat that they are in. But when there are the positive qualities of mind, such as happiness, such as joy, such as peace, or such as someone having the success, we empathetically resonate with happiness rather than feeling judgment or shame or jealousy or those kinds of things. But we don't emphasize empathy, because that is not someone. This is not someone. The Buddha taught no self. So the empathy there is more about compassion, seeing the suffering that's there, and it's the same within yourself. You have to be willing to be compassionate. And to be willing to be compassionate, you have to be willing to feel the suffering that is here. Until you are willing to feel the suffering that is here, how can you actively express your wish or your power or your intention to end that suffering? And without intention, nothing is going to happen. You see? So compassion is actually very important. And compassion starts with that willingness to embrace suffering, to face suffering, to see suffering inside of yourself, instead of trying to avoid it or get rid of it. That's why young people all over the world and in America are so aggressive towards each other in general, culturally, socially, because they're not being taught the Dharma of compassion, of being willing and actively practicing to embrace and face the suffering within themselves. So all these people are suffering. Doesn't matter how cool they look, doesn't matter who their girlfriend is or who their boyfriend is, that person is suffering. So in facing them, in embracing them, you're facing suffering. And unless you have a power of compassion to face suffering and to wish for that suffering to end within yourself, your dealing with those people is going to be conflict oriented, because you are seeing suffering. And because we are conflict oriented internally, we get all kinds of sicknesses, mental and physical, anxiety, depression, cancers, neurological disorders, all these kinds of things, because there's internal conflict within yourself rather than internal harmony. Just in the same way that if you break your leg, your body knows how to heal. That's not the body doing it by itself. It's, let's say, the power of the mind in conjunction with the body. So if we can learn how to work with the power of the mind, we can learn how to support healing. You know, it's often said by some professional doctors, cancer doctors and things like that, sometimes they can actually know if that person is going to be able to beat the cancer or not by their degree of stress or by their degree of hope in terms of being able to get through this. So it's definitely coming back, coming back right now to the breathing experience in the body, in whatever way that the breathing is. Just like Naruto, just like Ichigo, just like Goku. Get out of here. Coming back to the breathing. Coming back to the hyperbolic time chamber within your own mind to practice mindfulness or awareness of the feelings and the suffering and the experience of the body and mind through the focus on the breathing. And then release and relax. There may be some physical aspect to that, like you move around a little bit, but the primary action of the releasing and relaxing is action of the mind. this not only kind of like actively heals and is like an active force that you develop, like a power that you develop within yourself to combat the greed and the anger and the delusion or the negativity within yourself, but it's also preventative and protective. So people who have this quality of mind or this power of mind, of mindfulness and detachment, people who have ill will, or they wish to harm, or they have a transmittable sickness, they will stay away. They will keep a distance. They might shoot arrows from a distance, but they're not going to go straight ahead. And this, we can actually transmit or share this dharma, this dhamma, this door of practice to the people we care about as well. This door of practice of mindfulness and detachment. But if you don't have if it's not important to you to be good, then can you even call yourself a human being? Honestly. And then we listen to our mentors, we listen to our teachers, or we listen to the people we resonate with as having wisdom to give us guidance about, okay, no, that's good, that's bad, because we have experience. And in that way, we're more and more skillful about what we do and what we don't do. Please excuse me, I need to use the restroom. And remember that it is Christmas.
On a snowy night, the silence speaks. Laughter and joy in the warmth we seek. Generosity flows like a river strong. Mindful hearts beat all night long. Buddha, Santa in the skies above, brings peace and joy with a touch of love. Detachment lights our path anew. Mindfulness in all we do. Give with open hands, detach from greed. The virtues of life are what we need. Chanting echoes, a drum beats grace. In this moment, find your place. Buddha, Santa in the skies above, brings peace and joy with a touch of love. Detachment lights our path anew.
Come on, everybody.
Mindfulness in all we do.
Let's go for the full Monty. No whammies, no whammies. Stop.
Appreciate now hearts open wide, hand in hand. A Merry Christmas, a year that's bright, in peace and love. We'll
Unite. And it's a good aspiration, just concerned with working together, collaborating, cooperating, protecting. It's not a Hindu ideal of like a one self or a group enlightenment. It's that we work together, we help each other from where we are, from a position of generosity and from a position of renunciation. So the authority that a monk has is based on their willingness in community to renounce. Any questions? Yeah, welcome in. Do you have some questions? And we learn to be very, very, very careful. We learn the joy and the power of being very, very, very careful. Doesn't mean that we're shy. Doesn't mean that we don't dare to give or to try, but just that we're very careful in trying. We're very mindful in what we do. We're mindful of what we don't do as well.
Hello, Monk.
Yes. You have a
So
question?
you travel to many countries. Yes.
I've traveled to many countries. Yes, I have.
So, do you believe that it is not necessary to learn the language of another country because you can communicate through the one language of kindness?
Yeah, but you should be open about listening to other languages, and if the opportunity arises to learn another language or to learn some aspects of another language, you should try to do that. I've had the luxury or the privilege or the conditions where I travel the world according to the Dhamma and concerned with the Buddha and the Sangha. So when I go to Buddhist countries or Buddhist communities, I'm there to develop in my language of the Dhamma rather than in the local dialect. But that also comes up. You know, I also pick up bits and pieces of different languages. The important thing, and this is a very important dharma to be aware of for young people, okay? Mostly we don't understand. Mostly we are ignorant. So, for example, you might have read 10,000 books about 10,000 things, but you don't know what's going on next door. You don't know what that person is doing. So, we have to have a real willingness to be humble and to be open to the newness of experience. So, we never want to get into this trap where we go to Thailand and we're surprised that people are speaking Thai, or we're confused that people don't speak English. We don't have to be confused about having a new experience, because the nature of living and life is new experiencing. So you have to be more open to the newness of experience to actually develop your wisdom and develop your understanding. Otherwise, you ask the same questions as everybody else asks, you think the same thoughts as everyone else thinks, and your identity has nothing to do with any sense of individuation. It's just an identity that was handed to you by the culture, by the society, by the powers that be. So
Thank you.
never be arrogant about ignorance. Never be confident about having a new experience. There's nothing to be confident about in a new experience. It's just a new experience. And the more humble and open to the way that it is, the more that you can make use of that, and the more that you can begin to understand about that. Always going back to our breathing and willingness to detach, to let go, and relax and release whole body and mind. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what the monk is here for. Uh, Okay, do I believe that there are places where you can feel God or goodness in the air more than others? It seems every time I enter a church, there's such a presence in the air. Of course, right? In the same way that there can be material pollution, like smoke and smog and chemicals in the air, there can also be a kind of mental or spiritual pollution that we can be sensitive to. And a lot of the times, for some of our problems, especially as we become adults or especially as we have more access to independence, we have to know how to deal with problems through abandoning, right? So there's a kind of insanity in being somewhere and experiencing that this place is, the soil's not fertile, the people around aren't supportive, the situation isn't any good. We have to be willing to go away from that. And that means we have to be willing to abandon what we've already had or accumulated. We have to be willing to abandon those people, those places, those situations, those experiences. We have to dare to do that. And there are some more. I remember I went to Kathmandu in Nepal earlier this year, and there was a real sense of silence in the air. And I'd never experienced anything like that. And quite a great contrast to India, where it's very busy, it's very noisy, there's a lot of things going on. Um, so, well, we get a chance to practice it now. There's a lot of worry and concern about, like, I did all this work, I did all this practice, and now I'm suffering. But what we're missing out on in that is this pronounced awareness of that suffering. And if we're really aware of suffering, there is the good chance to be mindful of it and to detach from it, to start to relax and release whole body and mind directly with and in the face of that suffering. And that is a blessing. That's not a curse. So it's a time to enjoy the practice and not be afraid of what is there. You don't need to be afraid of what is there. It's okay. Okay. Hmm. On a snowy night, the silence speaks. Laughter and joy. How about in the warmth we seek generosity? I think that's really good. Um, let's just try this. Yeah, as monks, we're allowed to have coffee. We're allowed to have certain things that don't intoxicate the mind. So, not allowed to drink alcohol, not allowed to smoke weed. So, in the way that alcohol gets you mixed up and weed gets you mixed up, that is what monks are not allowed to do. That's what we don't have the permission or the allowance to do. Okay, question. Would psychedelics mess up the mind as well? Most of the time, and usually, yes. Now, you can take medicine, right? So there's nothing wrong with taking medicine as a Buddhist. And these rules in terms of intoxicants also apply to Buddhists in general. But any kind of medicine, what makes something a medicine is that there's an appropriate context for taking that, right? There's a professionalism in taking that, and there's a set and setting or a form that is safe and reliable to take that, right? And with psychedelics, you have a kind of preparatory practices and you have post integration practices, and most people don't have the supports for that. So, the research that Johns Hopkins is doing and a variety of other institutions are doing concerned with using psychedelics for therapy, that's definitely psychedelics as a medicine. But using psychedelics recreationally can oftentimes be another coping mechanism, the same way that weed or alcohol can be coping mechanisms. And that's not what we want to rely on. We don't want to rely on substances as coping mechanisms. We want to rely on practices that lead to the end of the need for coping mechanisms. Okay, we've got some new versions of the famous Awakened in the Season track.
On a snowy night, the silence speaks. Laughter and joy in the warmth we seek. Generosity flows like a river strong. Mindful hearts beat all night long. Buddha as Santa in the skies above brings peace and joy with a touch of love. Detachment lights our path anew. Mindfulness in all we do.
No eat. I just eat the merits.
Give with open hands, detach from greed. The virtues of life are what we need. Chanting echoes, a drum beats grace. In this moment, find your place. Buddha as Santa in the skies above brings peace and joy with a touch of love. Detachment lights our path anew. Mindfulness in all we do. Appreciate now where we stand with hearts open wide, hand in hand. A Merry Christmas, a year that's bright in peace and love. Will unite. Gather round, let the bells chime clear. In the stillness of night, our truths appear. Giving freely with hearts aglow. Kindness is the seed we sow. Udada Santa in the cosmic dance. A merry tune of life's grand chants. Mindfulness unwrapped like morning's light. In presence we find delight.
There you go. This is the thing. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to be scared. Concerned with smoking cigarettes, shaman Jedi, you have to see if that is an addiction, a compulsion, and to what degree you are addictive and compulsively doing that. There's the first Ajahn, this guy named Ajahn Jack, who I lived with in Thailand. You know, when I first ordained. He would smoke cigarettes. A lot of monks smoke cigarettes, even while like doing Q&A and answering questions. There's a real well-known monk, Ajahn Martin. He's like a German monk, and he's very strict and very strong teacher and hardcore teacher. And he will smoke cigarette while he's giving the answers to the questions. So it's not as much a matter of the substance or the activity as it is a matter of the corresponding greed, anger, delusion, or compulsiveness to that activity. And when we develop that understanding more, when we develop more clarity about our mind and cause and effect, there's certain things that we don't want to do, like intoxicate the mind. We don't want to take away from the sublimeness of what is already.
Detached in peace and love. Will
The moonlight whispers dying through. Under the stars, all paths renew.
Yeah, the AI is still in development, but it's good to know about it and get a little bit of experience with it, because it can help in doing good deeds. And just you need to examine the compulsion related to it, and you need to be very mindful of that compulsion, and you need to see how your mind is when you stop doing that. No one is really disingenuous. People think that they're disingenuous, but actually they're just sowing the seeds of their own suffering and saying that they're not. So it's not that they're disingenuous, it's just that they don't have right understanding about cause and effect, or they don't believe in cause and effect. But cause and effect isn't a matter of your belief. Cause and effect is the way that it is. So disingenuousness is kind of a misleading term, because things are as they are. And it's not really a matter of interpretation, because even the finest interpretation is going to be secondary, tertiary, one trillionary to the nature or the way that it already is. Buddha as Santa. Can stop activity of body and mind. Return to mindfulness through breathing if necessary, and detach. That is to relax and release whole body and mind, inside and outside, with the awareness. If there are compulsive thoughts that create difficulty, you can use a word like everything, or you can use a word like not something, not someone, to clear out, to free out the spirits or the compulsive thoughts. Do we have any questions on Discord? Okay, Sebi, please don't drink alcohol or drink less alcohol. I'm worried about it becoming a problem in the future. So be very careful about that. And we're going to close the Discord call now. Merry Christmas, guys. And be good. And be mindful.
Merry Christmas, man. Bro,
Okay.
you got the whole wrong idea about me. But it's
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Sebi. No more alcohol. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Wow. Buddha as Santa in the skies above. Questions here on YouTube? A lot of interesting things going on all around the world. So, and many needs. There are many people with many needs. So as much as we can make use of those needs to give, we will have the best gift this Christmas day. May we all have the best gift on this Christmas day. Bhante Uttama. Hmm. Oh. Dream Tooth, I don't say I suffer from like PTSD kind of stuff, but it is, and I've not made myself available to more help than the balance I'm currently with terms of socially. That's okay. Takes a lot of patience, takes a lot of kindness, and a lot of open heartedness to, one of the practices that I really like to do if I get stressed or I get worked up, I just like to go to a safe place and lay down and focus on my breathing. And that focusing on my breathing kind of allows me to be aware of my whole body and mind. And then I just relax. I just spend time laying down, and I'm not trying to go to sleep. I'm not really trying to do anything. It's just I'm being there with myself kindly to relax and release the whole body and mind. And in that, I'm willing to feel a little bit uncomfortable. I'm willing to feel a little bit of suffering, and to kind of calm that and heal that. And Thich Nhat Hanh is a great resource for trauma, and the Plum Village community. They have a lot of good resources as well concerned with dealing with trauma. We don't just want to go and put ourselves out there socially. We want to find safe places. We want to find a meditation center where there are Buddhist nuns, to go there and volunteer and serve and be in community. So be patient with yourself as you're, getting clearer direction about the way to go. The topic, as usual, is doing good deeds with mindfulness and detachment limitlessly, concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So people say, why? Why are you doing this? What are you doing? What are you wearing? Why are you here? What's going on? Well, doing good deeds with mindfulness and detachment, concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha is explicitly my practice method as transmitted to me by my teacher, Sayadaw Ashen Uttamatara. You are experiencing the significance of it, so you don't need it to be explained to you. You just have to be more open to the significance of it, which is to point back to being mindful and to detach. To train the mind in just seeing. If it's a rock, maybe you're not interested enough to look at it. Because the Buddhist robes are the way they are, you are interested to look at it. So in looking at it, just look at it. In seeing, just seeing. And in that way, stopping the conceiving mind, stopping the mind of complicated thoughts, not by attachment, but by mindfulness and detachment. Okay, I've tried several sanghas and Buddhist communities in my area, and while I have loved the people in the groups, I haven't found a teacher that I connected with. Do you have any advice or anecdotes about finding a teacher? Well, there are many teachers available online, and you should do your best to listen to them more often. And it's not so much a matter of you finding or choosing a teacher, but being willing to take refuge in the offerings that are already available and practicing with them as deeply as you can. In that way, you will be more and more likely to come across a teacher or for a teacher to be willing to work with you directly. Here are some names you can look into on YouTube. It is a very curious thing, but I don't think about it too much. And I'm practicing to renounce most, if not all, interpersonal relationships, especially those that have a focus on desire. As much as you see something or as much as you experience something, you have to have the power to detach from that. Otherwise, you will become insane. So, if you are serious about spiritual understanding or experience or power, you have to take refuge in the spiritual teachers. You have to forgive, release, detach from, step back from any spirits or any involvement with grasping onto things or more things. So, the best spiritual power that we can have is the spiritual power of knowing how to come back to ourselves and how to use the breathing to relax and release the whole body and mind, especially to release and relax complicated thinking. Otherwise, the mind will become knotted up in complicated thinking and it will become more and more problematic. You may be able to try this.
Everything, everything, everything. Go on without limit. Not grasping, more grasping, and not grasping away that there is no limit. Without limit. Don't focus here, there, the tree or the mountain or the nature or anything. It is limited. So not grasping, both grasping, not grasping in a way that there is no limit. Not just here, there. It's not enough. It's not enough to bless. It's not enough blessing. It's not enough to bless. In a way that there's no limit. Beyond here, there, anything. Not grasping, but grasping, not grasping all the way, so that it is fully blessing. in a way that not grasping both grasping, not grasping all the way. And it will be a full blessing without limit. Open up completely, fully. Not grasping both grasping and not grasping all the way. Release the release. Release, let go of itself. It is to release the release. Release and relax for everything. All the way. Not grasping, but grasping, not grasping. Together, whatever direction you look at. Only to release, relax for everything, whatever direction, whatever you look at. Not our duty to make the situation worse, to observe or notice anything. It's not our duty to cultivate anything, everything, not grasping, both grasping, not grasping, altogether.
Also, the important message is that it's a matter of stepping forth. It's not a matter of thinking about stepping forth or considering the right or the wrong in stepping forth. You just take that step and you fall in doing what is good and doing what is right and being mindful and being willing to detach. That is that you cut and finish everything right now, in that you focus on the breathing right now. In that focusing on the breathing right now, bring the awareness to the whole body and mind and relax and release the whole body and mind. Put down everything in a single instant and continuously do that, using the breathing as the concentration point to go deeper and deeper into relaxing and releasing. In that way, you may be able to untie some bonds of knotted thinking, and you may get some more energy to be able to walk in the direction that is suitable for you. You are following false teachers and false methodologies. So you have to stop doing that first. And then you can listen to this guided meditation, for example, and start reorienting your approach. If we're starting off on the path from the wrong direction, we don't need to try and find a new direction. We need to go back where we started and go in the right direction. This is very important. And even if you don't believe that, you should at least be willing to walk back to where you started and try another direction. Good luck. Many people are in that situation, following false teachers and false methodologies.
Release, relax for the samsara.
ไม่เด้
Just cut.
ไม่เอามันทั้งเอาทั้งไม่เอาลูก
Not grasping, both grasping and not
เอา
grasping.
ทั้งไม่เอา
To cut means not grasping, both grasping and not grasping. Relax, let go of the relax. Only to help relax and release.
เรียกว่าตัดสรู้ช่วย
To enlighten for everything.
หรือไม่ต้องเรียกก็ได้
And you don't have to call it anything.
อย่ามาเรียกกันมาเนี่ยเรียกว่าอนุโลมในการสมมติบัญญัติ
It is just a compromise to use the language,
บัญญัติรองรับเนื้อหาลูก
to use some words, some term.
။ดำรีไปด้วย ไม่เอามัน
Keep
เอา
thinking, not grasping, not grasping, not grasping.
อย่า
so that it releases
จากการทรงจิตทรง
from holding on to the mind.
I am the king of this castle. So if you come here, you should be very, very careful. And you should do what I tell you to do. Otherwise, you are in the wrong place. So you should scurry away quickly or run away quickly. If you don't do that, you will stay as a fool under the dominion of my compassion. And that's not my interest for you, Khalil. You have to practice mindfulness seriously. When you come to this place, you have to stop the kubelis and the jibijis and the kush kush woot. You have to stop hooting and hollering. You have to stop and focus on your breathing. You have to concentrate on your breathing. This is a training ground. This is a place to train. You should not be multitasking here. So when you come here, focus on your breathing and listen very, very closely to everything that I say and all of the audio that comes out of here. Listen as if there were subtle sounds in the background that had mysterious teachings in them. Unless you focus, unless you concentrate, you won't have the chance to make use of this opportunity to receive what is being shared and to develop yourself. Okay, and that's my wish for you. So stop everything, listen closely, sit in a good position so you're comfortable and stable. That will help you focus. You can also lay down and just listen and focus on your breathing. Listening and focusing on your breathing. And when the thoughts come up or when the tensions or feelings in the body come up, you have to relax and release as much as you can. There's still a lot of work to do. So we have to try and practice as seriously as we can. And I know that there's more in you, Khalil. Okay? We have to try to practice mindfulness and detachment continuously. And every time that we get carried away, every time that we get pulled away in complicated thinking or in tension in the body, relax and release the whole body and mind. As serious can be. No. MKNA, we don't need that. We can practice we can practice mindfulness and detachment in anything and everything. So we have to make sure that the anything and everything that we're concerned with is supportive to continue being mindful and detaching. And that means we have to direct our life in a certain way, and we have to be quite serious about the kind of people that we get involved with. We have to be quite serious about the what we do and what we don't do. But in whatever we do, in whatever we don't do, in it being annoying, in it being likable or dislikable, that is the immediate point to be mindful and to detach, or to be mindful and relax and release whole body and mind. Regardless of the noise, regardless of the situation, regardless of the person, people, places, etc. Actually, we can meditate on no self. You see, so we just have to try to practice continuously with whatever it is. It's not really a matter of sustaining something as much as a matter as it is a matter of continuously coming back to the right understanding and the right practice, which means we detach from the wrong practice and we detach from the wrong understanding. In the midst of the wrong understanding, in the midst of the wrong practice, we detach from the likable in the midst of the likable. We detach from the unlikable in the midst of the unlikable. This is not correct. Just like a lost child. It's possible that they will become the king of the jungle, but it's not likely. And the mindset of always thinking that you or I are the special one is ignorance and attachment. So you have to learn how to work with your pride in a different way. You need to understand that you are not in control of yourself, your mind, and you are also not in control of the environment. And that is not to be scared or be confused or get upset, but to let go and be free of all the complicated thinking that arises, because it surely passes away. Again and again, birth and death like this. So step back from your position of ignorance and attachment and arrogance as much as you can, as we all should try to do. So once again, don't make it about you. And listen to the talk that I shared and be open to understanding that there are people that are more experienced than you on this path, and that it would do you a lot of good to be humble and open enough to listen to them and to communicate with them honestly and with a spirit of generosity and humbleness as much as you can. Yeah, you can listen to sounds that help you meditate, but as much as you know how to use the power of that, you should know how to not use the power of that. So we kind of we work with that in these live streams and in these sessions where we're listening to, Bante's silly Buddhist AI Christmas song, and then we're not. And then we're also listening to, one of the highest Dhamma teachers that I know, this monk in Thailand, Lumpal. We can hear right now.
that is karma, to hold on seeing, knowing any whatever state, whatever condition, release, let go of the blooming. When you're not grasping, both grasping, not grasping, on and on. If you constantly not grasping, both grasping.
So we have to know how to use the power of everything concerned with mindfulness and detachment. Okay. And whatever we pick up, be willing to let go. And when we practice with that, when we develop those dhammas, our dhammas increase. So then the question of, well, I guess I should be mindful and not attached to doing good things, and I should just go around and do bad things. That's a low dhamma. That's a very low dhamma. Whereas understanding that mindfulness and detachment is a process, and that there are certain things that support that process, and there are certain effects of that process which are positive, and there are certain things that don't support that process, and effects of those things that don't support that process which are negative. Negative in terms of causing suffering, negative in terms of going against the teachings of the Buddha, negative in terms of not having a well-minded teacher to talk with about situations that come up to get guidance, right? So we don't want to get stuck in that place, and we care about those people. We want those people to get success in their path, but ultimately we have to be mindful and detached from them. And if we can do that, they will also have to be mindful and detached from us, because that will be our higher dhammas that we're living through. They won't be able to go above that. NJ says, Dear Bhante, what does it mean by sanskara? Are you saying sankara or samsara? It seems that you've maybe combined samsara and sankara. So what are you talking about? And I recommend for everyone here to, if you're looking for some guided meditation, some really wonderful teachings, Venerable Kanda is fantastic. Bhikkhuni in the tradition of Ajahn Brahm, really stalwart and powerful practitioner on the path, and someone that I think the more women that take refuge in her Dhamma and her path, the better for the world. She's really wonderful, and you can find her YouTube channel, the Anukampa Bhikkhuni Project. She also has given a lot of talks with Ajahn Brahm, who's one of the preeminent Dhamma teachers of Buddhism in the world today, with a Western focus. So, we're really getting concerned with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha here, and it doesn't matter if people like that or don't like that. You're in the wrong place. Get out. A sankhara. Let's see. Sankhara, mental dispositions, formations. Volition, fabrication, formations, conditioned things. It's really talking about phenomena. So it's talking about mental and material phenomena. It's talking about nama and rupa. And the grasping onto nama and rupa, or grasping onto mental phenomena and grasping onto material phenomena, how that is the workings of karma. The workings of karma is in grasping onto sankharas, and that is samsara. So we grasp onto the conditioned things, and then we go through the sankhara kanda, or the dependent origination, and we, from ignorance to formations to consciousness to name and form, 6 sense bases, contact, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming, birth, old age, and death. So it's just something it's really pointing to how when we develop the capacity of mindfulness and detachment, we go to a subtler and subtler recognition to how this is all taking place, right? And we're less bound up by the surface level appearances, and we see more and more dependent causation that is brought about this surface level appearance. And eventually we see that the cause of this appearance, the cause of something, is ignorance. Right? Because in reality, there is no thing. That is, that there's no thing that's satisfactory, so there's no thing worthy of grasping. So there's no efficacy in grasping, and this is nothing if not expressed efficacy. So don't grasp, and don't get born, and don't die. And that there's nothing permanent. That nothing is permanent. And no self, no separate self. There's no separation in reality. It's just a false appearance based on grasping. So, like, this has birth and death as an object of mind, or as an object of ignorance. This has birth and death because it's a device, it has a use, it has a life in that way. The life of the battery, or the life of the sankhara, the formation, the coming together of this object, right? And then it has a period of an appearance that will dissolve. And then it won't be this thing. But in fact, this is already not this thing, because this thing doesn't exist separate from everything. And in that sense, this thing is no thing already. And the thingness is in the permanence, or the thingness is in the satisfactoriness of it, or the worthwhileness to grasp, or the efficacy of grasping onto it. And the thingness is in the the separation of it, that it's a thing separate, but it's not. Does that answer your question sufficiently, NJ? The master is out here teaching the Dhamma.
ကျမ်းမာနေတယ်ဒါချိန်ကြီးဒုက္ခိတဖြစ်သွားနိုင်တယ်အဲ့တော့ဒုက္ခိတတွေကိုလည်းဒုက္ခိတဘဝဆိုရင်ကိုယ်နဲ့ဆိုင်တယ်အဲ့တော့တို့ကူညီရမယ်ဆိုပြီးဆရာဒီမှာဆိုရင်ဝီချဲတွေအဲဒီဒုက္ခိတတွေသုံးဖို့ပစ္စည်းတွေရာဟောင်းဆိုင်တွေမှာရှာပြတယ်ကိုချင်းဆိုင်ဆိုင်တွေဘာတရားရင်တော့ဒုက္ခိတတွေအများကြီးရှိတယ်ဥပမာစက်ကရိယာကောင်းကောင်းမရှိစက်မှုနိုင်ငံမှာဟုတ်တယ်တန်းနိုင်တော့တည်သွားပြီးတယ်လို့အဓိကပြုလုပ်မျိုးဆိုတာကိုယ်စိတ်မျိုးရှိရင်တော့မှကြာရင်ခံရတော့ကိုရက်တည်နေအောင်ပြည့်ချင်နေတာကောင်းအဲ့ဒါဘာတရားတောက်တုံးနေတယ်ကိုယ်တိုင်ကိုယ့်ကိုဆုံးဖြတ်လုပ်ကြတယ်ကိုယ်တိုင်တွေ့ကြအဲ့ဒီဥဒါလေးဆုံးဖြတ်ရအောင်
Okay, dear Sangha, we will end our session now. May we all be happy and peaceful and continue in the right way. Merry Christmas.